My Love of Life Energy is a podcast created by Anna Scott. Anna knows that every human being sees life uniquely. In this podcast, she will talk to people and learn from them. These conversations are to shine the brilliance of each human being she speaks to. Join her. After each exploration, you will expand on your insights and see truth and beauty.
Good morning. Welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, and today I have the great honor of speaking with Stephanie Hardwick, who I met through a mastermind group through a connection of mine, Paul Mark. So welcome, Stephanie. It's so good to have you here.
It's so fun to be able to talk to you in this way. I can't wait. When I heard you were doing a podcast and you were recording interviews, I secretly was like, oh, I would love to do that. But I wasn't going to jump in there and say, me. So I was so glad when you asked.
Well, and if you know of other people, I'm looking for other people too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I already have one right in mind then.
That's wonderful. So we were just chatting for 15 minutes and we both said that we could have recorded this, but then I said, well, Stephanie is a seeker like myself. She's I just have a kinship. I have such a love for you and such a respect for you and what you look. And I just said, what do you want to share? What would you love to share? So what would you love to share?
Yeah, well, what came to mind was a concept that it really struck home with me, so I do coaching as well. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about humans and human potential and my own mind and other people's minds. I was doing a bit of journaling and I was writing about this concept of this ideal self that gets created. And it really hit home for me that even after all these years, right, I've been doing transformative work since 2000 and, probably since I was born, but really professionally since school. And I graduated in 2007 as when I opened my business. And I realized that I still, after all these years, flirt with this ideal self, right? This thing that I create from my fears and my worries of not being sufficient or satisfied, that I still will create this partner that I'm supposed to be, this mom that I'm supposed to be, this professional woman that I'm supposed to be. And I am a slave to that ideal, meaning that I get oppressed by it. Because if I don't measure up, which nobody's perfect, nobody's that ideal. And it all came about this is my plug. It really hit home in a lyric that isn't a song I like. So the song is called Fake Love, and it's by a Korean band called BTS. And this is the line that I loved. It said, I have grown a flower that can never bloom in a dream that can never come true. And I heard that line and I just went, well, shucks, if that just isn't the ideal self. I have grown a flower that will never bloom in a dream that can never come true. Wow. This ideal self is unachievable, and I will feel distressed and frustrated anytime I'm in comparison to this ideal that I create.
Wow. I just have to sit with that.
Yeah, think about all the times there is I didn't do this right, or, this wasn't enough, or, making yourself responsible for a problem because you lack perfection in a particular area.
But what I love is that it's so interesting. This morning I was laying in bed and I was seeing, I was reading Ken Manning's book, The Invisible Power and
Law and
Jargon. And they talked about the ego,
mm-hmm.
how we're always thinking about ourselves and making up identities. And I realized it's like the identities that I make up are always crappy.
Right? It's so true. And I mean, that ideal self isn't based from the inner being. It comes from that one that is separate, that feels not complete. And so it's built out of insecurity, not from security. I mean, the answer to all of this obviously is inner being, which is going to be naturally satisfied. All is well, doesn't need anything to be different than it is what is with what is.
It's so interesting because what I saw is I went to go get a COVID test because I'm going to a party tonight. And I was reflecting on this, and I just dropped into that space, that inner being, and I see it as kindness. And I watched people just being naturally kind because they were just in the moment. Saying something kind to the person walking into the store. The clerk saying to their cohort something kind. The woman who knows the other clerk saying something kind.
Yeah.
And just this kindness that just happens naturally.
Yeah. And that's built into our design. And I think it, as far as our well-being is concerned, it deeply matters that we recognize who we really are.
Yeah.
We'll get caught in the delusion, right? I mean, I get caught in the delusion multiple times a day, many times a day, and then remember, oh, that's not true. And that's not how we work. And being able to drop back to that place that you're talking about, to that natural state of kindness, to that natural well-being that's fine and okay.
Well, it just happens. So I love what you're saying about that line.
Isn't that beautiful? Such a beautiful line.
Well, but what we can't see is that we created it through thought.
Right.
But it has this like glass house that I can't ever get into.
Yeah. It can never, right. It's the flower that can never bloom. We expect it to. We sit there and we bloom, damn it.
Well, we effort the hell out of it.
We effort. That's right.
I mean, how many extra spin classes or whatever?
Right. Well, and there's such a fear of, so here's what I did with that. I took this idea that I was toying with and I threw it out there on TikTok. And I love that algorithm because sometimes it just amazes me, right? I didn't think this was any different than any TikTok that I normally do. Well, this one took off like wildfire, right? So I've watched, I think 275,000 people viewed it. And I've had all these comments of people, some getting it, some having an aha moment, and others saying, well, tell that to my bullies, or afraid of giving up the ideal self for fear that no achievement will occur. Like there's this myth that we have to have this ideal, this full potential, right? That's me idealized. That's my full potential. And we call it motivation, aspiration. And I think there's another way, because I think that ideal self is in denial of true love and appreciation of the one that made a crappy dinner or, didn't do something correctly or lost the client or whatever.
I love what you're pointing to. It's like I see that fear is like a trap door to this aliveness, or like a cover.
Yeah.
But we can't notice. Like until this morning, I just didn't notice how kindness just happens naturally.
We don't have to think our way into qualities of the inner being: acceptance, kindness, love, presence.
Yeah, and I don't think that anybody would have noticed that good feeling. Like the ideal is so normal. What you're talking about,
right?
The 6 steps to getting
right. Right.
How to be a better lover.
Yeah, we can't, what if we couldn't think our way there? And that if we trust inner being, it will guide us there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the thing that what's so funny is that what's happened with you with TikTok, your inner being guided you there.
Yeah. Right. I often wonder that is like, why that day? Why done? I mean, I did it in my car even, and I cannot tell you how many videos I don't spend like, making sure this curl is just right in front of my, eye, or, making sure my makeup isn't smudged. And it takes forever to make this video. I was literally sitting in a parking lot and was like, oh God, I want to talk about this. It's like my hair was unshowered and back in a clip. And I just went with it. And wow, what a benefit.
God, I have this image of what you're offering people is to take the walls of their thinking down and just to enjoy the true nature of who they are, to see it and appreciate it.
I like put it that. I mean, it's the ultimate definition of you are not who you think you are, because who you are is before thought. And we don't have to add thought to make us who we are. Like, what if,
I would like to get a garbage, those, like a big store, those, when you're demolishing a house, those dumpsters.
Oh, yeah.
And just put all my thinking of who I am in it.
God, it is so true. So much BS gets created by this is what I think I have to be. Because when we're really just an inner being, it's almost like the thought is there to help us move our hand to write what is coming through, or to quickly pick up the phone and record something. It's like the thought is what occurs to support the inner being. Because it's funny how, don't you ever just get an idea that is almost faster than the speed of thought?
Well, that's what you've done with this TikTok.
Right. Well, it definitely defies common sense when I look at what I'm doing. And just to give everybody who's listening context, I'm a 51-year-old woman, white American woman who has fallen in love with Korean pop music. And I have a hashtag on TikTok, BTS is good for mental health, which is all about this Korean pop band and taking their lyrics and applying the principles of life to it so that people can understand themselves and have better mental health. And that truly, when I laugh even as I say that, that's my passion. What? But it's my passion. So weirdly specific.
Well, what's weirdly specific, that mental health, or the Korean band, Korean pop?
That I almost feel like, if you ever seen the movie Ghostbusters where they cross the streams, like those are just two random things. And the fact that I could take my love of both, talking about the human experience, contemplating life and seeking, and then take my just love of this band and what they've created. And I encourage anybody to look into them. They're all over YouTube, but like crossing those two streams and putting them together, which truly was a compulsion. I had no idea that it would get, I think I'm almost at I think I'm at 58,000 followers now. Which
this is in 1 year. Yeah, but this is in 1 year.
Yeah, less than, because today I posted my first video, or my first TikTok video. It was after the Grammys of 2020.
Yeah.
And so it was February 2020.
But this is what you just said. You just pointed to the nature of life, that it came to you and you started doing it.
Right. It's funny. It's a compulsion. It doesn't even occur as like a sentence. When you really listen to inspiration, it's not like you have, because sometimes, do you ever just think in sentences where you're like, it is clear that, you can hear it.
Yeah.
But then there are times where it almost happens so fast. It's like a burst of possibility that you get a little excited about. And before you know it, you've got something in your hand and you're like doing the thing.
Yeah.
It's like that. And I'm not saying all my videos, some of them are super crafted. Like, I spent time on it and it's more efforting. But I love the ones that aren't. And the ones that aren't, honestly, have been the ones that have gone. I think I've gone viral like 4 or 5 times now. And it's always been just a quick thing.
What I love of what you're pointing to, it's profound. Because I can feel it. I can feel your love for this. And that's the feeling that we're all looking for.
Yeah, that's what makes life truly effortless, right? And I'm only saying that just because did you recommend this book? I just bought a book called Effortlessness or Effortless, off the title alone, by the way, just because, yes, that. I in fact, it was in a conversation with Sandy Crott. I did a little bit of a mentorship, which was fabulous, by the way, about a year ago. And she's one of the authors of Invisible Power as well. And we were all, as a group, flirting with the idea of satisfaction or contentedness as the source of productivity, which then there's a difference, I think, and you look in that direction between efforting and trying versus inspired action, because that will feel effortless. And that's what we all want, right? Because otherwise we have to put accountability in place and whip ourselves with motivation into doing a thing. We have to effort versus go ahead.
Well, what occurs to me is that, the flower that you talked about.
Yeah.
Is that when it's a concept, we have to effort. Because we got to try and grow this thing that can't be grown.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes from inspiration, this aliveness, it comes with everything it needs to grow.
Right.
But it's a feeling. And the feeling is love. And like when you talk about your boys, the
BTS.
Yeah, BTS.
I like that you call them my boys. That feels really good. Yeah, okay.
But you light up. You can feel your love. It's contagious.
Mm.
It's like it comes through. It's like coming out of you.
Yeah.
You're not trying to get anything.
No, it is truly right. Adoring them absolutely falls in the world of effortlessness.
Right. And that's the thing about love, but we don't know the feeling. We don't pay attention to the feeling, but you're in it and feeling it.
Yeah. And creating from there. Mm-hmm. And just going with what doesn't make sense. I mean, truly, now just to let you know, the voice of ego is all over this still to this day about what the hell are you doing? Because I think about starting a YouTube channel as well, because 60 seconds is just not enough time to talk about like the concept of ideal self. Like I want more time. I haven't created in that direction yet, but my brain is all over it. Like, who are you? Right? My age, you're 51, all of your professional credentials, and you're going to talk about pop music. Not only that, outside, Korean pop music, like who are you to be talking on Korean pop music? You don't speak Korean, just the premature practicality that goes on in my brain. I have to really quiet, because if I fall victim to it, I really don't do anything.
But what's so interesting is that it just is so new and fresh, especially because of the two angles of life. It's like somebody, you're, how do I say this? That's what's so interesting. That's what makes it a rich conversation.
Mm.
It makes it unique.
I've never thought of it that way. It's certainly unique. As I'm always chronically searching for other BTS fans, which I'll have to tell you, I've gotten to work now with BTS fans who I get to be their coach, which I can truly tell you, this is what I love about life. Surprise the heck out of me. I never, ever intended this to be a business stream. And I still kind of don't. I mean, because I just want to create with nothing on it. And as you and I know, we've talked before, I can get very heady when it comes to be my business, and I can put a lot on things because, I work for myself. And so there's always this thought. I don't have that with my BTS love and TikTok. I'm not thinking about this will be good for business, and I still don't, but it has been.
But this is the joke. Like, I see thought as the, oh God, what do you call it? It's like in bowling, how you have the side rails.
Yeah.
It limits where things can go.
Right.
But because you have no rails on it, it can go anywhere and it's just fun.
Right.
But we don't see the joy of that.
No, we just see the fear of it, the unknown. If I can't see where this is going, then, I don't believe it's possible. Right. I think I'm sure one of my biggest robberies in my life is not believing the unexpected or the surprise is possible.
Oh God. I've been listening to Byron Katie, and what you're talking about, she's so in the moment and everything's a surprise.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about, the other day, what I saw is that the energy comes in, it's like lottery balls that just, fly up, like which number is it going to be? But we're so attuned to looking at for something that we don't see all the surprises. And you're just seem to be like, just relishing in it.
This area for sure has brought me, it's just a bliss project for me. It is pure joy, and it won't stop. I think I'm going on 2 years now of being a fan of this group, and it just doesn't stop. And so all I know is, at least, this is where I'm grateful for like colleagues like you and people and all the work that I've done and everything I've learned in my life and who I've studied with. I know that the voice of what the heck are you doing in this space? You don't belong here. Isn't to be listened to. Right. And that go with, this just feels good. I've learned over the years, and this is, I would say, recent, like in the past 4 or 5 years, embarrassingly so, to trust feeling good. Because I think there was a fear, if I trusted feeling good, then I'm going to fly my airplane right into the side of a mountain. I'm going to feel good, and therefore I'm going to miss key indicators in my life, warning signs, and it's going to be a disaster. So I better look out. But now I'm learning, trust a good feeling and go with it, and then be surprised. Like, don't think you need to know where it's going. Just feel good, like honoring feeling good and go in that direction. And I've had to have a lot of coaching around this crazy little BTS account because my ego, my professional woman, all this is like, what the hell is this? But I've had, of course, really good friends, our mastermind, to help me continually laser off these little parasites that just keep sucking onto this and then let it go.
It's the good feeling. It's so profound and so simple.
And natural. That good feeling, it's both good news and bad news, because I think about all the times I've been in a bad feeling, right? It's like, and that good feeling was right there, right? As Sydney Banks would say, and he's like a philosopher in the 3 principles, you're the width of a thought away.
Yeah. From
all the good feeling you're looking for. The width of a thought, that statement is always just, because it's so thin. And it's, I love what the teachers say, that it's not another thought. It's really a state of no thought. Like just letting go of the thought you're in.
Right.
And
you
then
empty the cup.
Yeah. You're in all the well-being and creativity and generosity, kindness, feel good that you're looking for. And that's so thin, the width of a thought. And how permanent it feels, right? Like, I've been caught up, you've been caught up, and how goddamn permanent and fixed that feels.
And then we have these miracle moments. Something breaks through and it all changes.
Yeah.
And that's what's possible.
Right.
At any moment. And a new idea, BTS and mental health. You know, I see that that's what you're wanting to share, and you're sharing it in a unique way that resonates, that people can hear it.
Right.
Another way to share it that resonates with you.
Yeah, everything I share is based on something I've seen for myself. I wouldn't.
I just want to thank you. That's why I think I love you. I mean, that's really like, there's an integrity in you. You're not pontificating concepts and ideas.
No, there's stuff I wrestle with like a greased pig. It's like, this ideal self, I'm out of it and feeling bliss. And then, I'll notice that I have more white hairs than young people hair or whatever. And then I'm back in it again. Right. So it's like, yeah, I wrestle with all these concepts too. Having hope, feeling good, ideal self. Yeah, I wrestle too. And that's why I love my job. I love having friends like you, because it really does good to have an understanding that can be shared to get me back on track.
Yeah. To return yourself to the
right.
natural self, not the ideal.
Yeah, because, we're devoted. I think that's what you and I have in common, and why I like you so much is we are devoted to continually remembering our true nature and how we work, even when we're upset, right? So we know, even when we're upset, we know how it works, even if we don't feel it.
Wow, you just said something, and that's what I'm actually teary, Stephanie. You really just whopped me with one, because that's it. We're devoted to returning to our true nature and reminding people of their true nature.
Yeah.
And we understand we get lost, but we're devoted to returning to it.
Yeah.
What a gift.
I think it is such a gift. And I don't know if you've ever had people ask you or say things like, I don't know how you can do what you can do, listening to other people's problems all the time. And here's the secret, here's pulling back the curtain. And this is what's going on behind the scenes, right? You and I, we have bad days too. And we sometimes will wake up in a freaking thought storm of misery. And we look at our calendars, we're like, holy hell, I got to have 4 conversations today. How am I ever going to do this? However, what we know is in those conversations, we get out of ourselves. We get out of whatever thought storm we're in. And so therefore, that schedule that looks like, oh God, how am I going to do this? Turns out to be the very thing that has us release from our personal thinking and slip into ultimate truth. And we feel better.
Yeah.
Our clients are for us. And so we're very lucky in this profession that we get to be reminded over and over again. And that's what I know. So I've gotten to the point where I know if I wake up in a quite a mood, I see a busy day of work, I know I'm going to feel great at the end of it, even though I don't feel good now, because these conversations with people are going to remind me of the universal nature of life, because we're going to create it together, and I'm going to get out of whatever thought storm. Doesn't mean it might not pour back into me when I leave.
Well, you're going to get out of because we're coming to the end. What you're going to get out of it is you're going to get out of your ideal self.
Yes. Right. I'm going to get out of those thoughts and get into something else. And natural self will come forward.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, how can people find you? All this will be on the link in the bio, but how do people find you?
Sure. A couple of ways. I've got 2, internet presences. You can find me at just stephaniehardwick.com, or thrivewithwealth.com, as I do a bit of work of helping families of wealth with conversations about money and wealth transition. Or you can find me on TikTok, which is BTS is good for mental health.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I loved our conversation.
Oh, me as well. Thanks for inviting me.